Okay, so I have this oval enamel like grayware pan, gray pan, and I am going to, it already has a hole in it. This is the way I got it. It has a hole right up here. So I am just going to take one of the transfers from the IOD Saint Germain package, and I am going to transfer that on there. And I have a little helper here today too. Yes, I have a little helper helping me. Yes, I do. So next I have this wood swan planter, and I am going to give it a good clean, and then I'm going to paint it and maybe put decoupage paper on it. So I got one coat of paint on here, and I was gonna decoupage, but I am not now. I absolutely love the way the underneath little paint design came through one coat of the Waverly chalk paint. I think it looks awesome. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with the beak right here, and then what I'm going to put inside the planter. But can you see how that came through the paint? I absolutely love it. I'm not going to cover that up. For my next project, I had thrifted some of these little round risers earlier this summer, and I'm going to give it a coat of the chalk paint in Ivory by Waverly, and then I'm going to put a paint inlay on the top, and I'm going to leave the feet just the natural color. Okay, so when you're using a paint inlay, you have to put one coat on, let it dry, and then you put another coat of paint on. So I used the ivory chalk paint for the first coat, but I'm going to try something different. For my second coat, I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to use a Dixie Belle burlap. So I'm going to go ahead and put that coat of paint on. So as you saw, I wanted a nice, thick, even coat of paint, and I'm going to be using this paint inlay from the IOD book called Lattice Rose. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to mist my paint inlay on the paint side. There's the grid side and there's the paint side. So I'm misting on the paint side. And I'm going to go ahead and lay that down into my wet paint. And then I'm going to spritz it again. And I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to blot the excess water off and let it dry, and then I will be back. Okay, so while that paint is drying on the paint inlay, I'm going to go ahead and decoupage my other one, and I am using a recycled paper to do that. And I'm also using the Dixie Belle clear coat. Okay, so it's been about an hour and the paint inlay has dried. So I'm going to mist it with water. I'm hoping, since I used two colors, that I might be able to see both colors just a little bit when I pull up the paint inlay. I'm not for sure if that will happen, but if not, it's still going to be beautiful. I love using these paint inlays. It's so satisfying to see that image transfer onto your, or that paint image transfer onto your project. So if you haven't tried one of these, you should give it a try. Okay, let's see what happens. Looking good. Not getting much of that ivory, but that's okay. You have to try before you know if it's going to work or not. I might be able to distress it a little bit and get some of that ivory. I'm not for sure, but it looks beautiful. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry, and I'll be able to use it on another project. Okay, so there it is. I'm gonna let it dry. I might distress it just a little bit to see if I can get some of that ivory so it doesn't look so new. Maybe make it look a little bit more vintage, but I think it looks really good. Okay, and for my last project today, I'm going to be taking this frame that I thrifted. It looks like at a garage sale for 75 cents. And I'm also going to be taking an old piece of ledger paper. This one is dated 1896. And I am going to cut that down to size to fit into my frame. I want to try to keep that date on there if I can. And then I'm also going to take another piece of the Saint Germain transfer, and I'm going to transfer it onto the old ledger paper. I'm going to tone down the gold of the frame just a little bit. I just have a little bit of the ivory chalk paint on my finger, and I'm just going to rub that over kind of like a wax, but I'm using the paint instead just to tone it down just a little bit. I have hardly any on my finger, but I just want to rub that on there and tone it down just a little. Here are the completed projects for today. I added ball fringe to the riser that has the paint inlay. And I added lace to the riser that has the decoupage paper. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite. I really like the way the swan turned out. That was a nice surprise. But I also like the enamelware piece. I think that's very unique. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a great day.